Well, today the Supreme Court gave us a major victory, a very, very solid victory, 6-3 to uphold Tennessee's Senate Bill 1. This is the one that prohibits medical providers from providing puberty blockers and hormones for a minor's sex change operation. Now, this could have gone, like if this had gone the other way, that would have been horribly, I cannot even explain how horribly disastrous that would have been for this country and for the next generation who has been sterilized and mutilated up until this point. And so you had the plaintiff arguing that the Tennessee law violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. Now, doesn't take a rocket scientist or a biologist to understand how terribly that argument fails. But, of course, in the 6-3 ruling, Chief Justice Roberts said or confirmed that the law doesn't classify by sex or transgender status, but by age, which means if the person is a minor, and medical purpose. So there is no sort of discrimination because of equal protection going on. And this ruling will now give states the right to determine whether or not they will allow these transgender operations as well. But I mean, you've already got the answer. If a state wants to implement that policy, the state has the right to implement that policy. Now, I would argue that the entire country should implement that policy. This should be in federal law on the books that we in America do not stand for mutilating children or sterilizing them before they can consent or understand what they are doing. That should be a very common sense, bipartisan reach across the middle of the aisle and compromise on something that nobody should have any sort of negative feelings about. This should not be controversial. We are not sterilizing and mutilating children in this country. But if this had gone the other way, I can't even say how many decades would this go on before it's course corrected. And so this is a huge win. This is a huge win for Texas, who we've already outlawed that. This is a huge win for Tennessee. Kudos to Matt Walsh for leading the charge over there in Tennessee. And you never know how these Supreme Court rulings are going to go down with the wishy-washy conservatives that we have. Thank God they can all agree on something as simple as we should not be mutilating children.
It's sad, isn't it?
It is. I genuinely
can't even believe we're doing it at all. Anyway.
I was speaking to a state representative here in Texas. Stephen, what was it? Night before last?
It's last night.
Last night. Golly, it's been a long week. I was just speaking to him last night, and I don't want to, just in case, I want to keep that who it is confidential, but we were talking about, just how monumental this is. And I was like, he said I was there for the arguments and all this. And I'm like, how crazy is it that we're even saying, I don't actually know how it's going to go down? Because I said, do you have any sort of sense as to whether or not we're going to win it? And he's like, I think, but I don't know. And it's like, that is really sad, because it should be a slam dunk. This should be 9-0.
Yeah, I mean, you got a couple of things going on there. You've got completely crazy people, and you've got a lot of money being injected into it, right? Like Big Pharma is injecting a lot of money into it, which is, let's not go on to Big Pharma. Who are the three that objected?
The liberals.
You know what? They're going to have to really sort themselves out with God.
Mm-hmm. Kagan Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson. And in fact, one of them, let's see, Sotomayor, here's some of her dissent. The majority contorts logic. This is hilarious. Contorts logic and precedent to say otherwise, inexplicably declaring it must uphold Tennessee's categorical ban on life-saving medical treatment so long as any reasonably conceivable state of facts might justify it. The court abandons transgender children and their families to political whims. So this is what they're doing. And this is, you and I talk about this all the time. This is what they're doing. They're accusing you of doing the thing that they are doing. Because to contort logic, you must claim that it is a life-saving medical treatment. It is not a life-saving medical treatment to chop off a perfectly healthy body part. That is not a life-saving medical treatment. And to try to explain it away, to try to define it as such, is actually contorting logic itself. We don't do this with anyone else. There is no other child that we send to the doctor For any sort of ailment, if a child goes to the doctor and they say, I want to chop off my arm. Why? Because I feel like I was supposed to be born with no arm. The doctor doesn't say, okay, honey, we'll just get out the saw and just saw it right off. Nobody says that for anything other than this crazy ass shit. So like, contorting logic would be exactly what the left has done for all of these years.
Yeah, and it's very serious, because I remember people making the argument about gay marriage and saying, oh, listen, it's just about people who love each other, and they, if you give them that, that'll be it. Well, people married their inflatable toys, they married trees, they did this, never underestimate the stupidity and the mental illness that is going on in this country. And something like that would push people to say, no, you've got to take off this limb. You've got to do it. And then they would sue, and then they'd look back at the ruling, and then they would have to say, yes, okay. I mean, it's absolutely bonkers. And I'm very grateful. Isn't it sad that we have to say this? I'm very grateful that Supreme Court actually used logic. By the way, Ketanji Brown Jackson couldn't even say what was a woman in the first place.
Right.
She should never, ever have been on the Supreme Court. It's an absolute disgrace.
You can't look between your legs and figure out what you are. You are not qualified to serve on the Supreme Court. I can tell you that. And I'm not a biologist. That's how easy it is. And so you look at, though, the reaction to this, because just to remember when the Roe versus Wade was overturned and the left was like melting down. There were protests in the streets. I mean, they were very, very upset and hysterical about Roe versus Wade being overturned, because they kept saying, oh my gosh, this means that abortion is banned. They've just banned abortion in this entire country. When you compare the way that they reacted there to the way that they were reacting here, which I haven't heard anything. I mean, I barely heard. There's no hysteria that I've seen. Maybe I've missed it. You guys let me know in the comments if you've seen it and I've just missed it. Go ahead and link me to it, by the way. But like, I haven't seen the hysteria. I haven't seen the giant protests. I haven't seen any of that. And I think that is because they know that this is a losing issue. They know America is not with them. They know they're not going to win. And so they're like, you know what? I'm just going to stay silent. And that is a victory in and of itself for us.
Yeah. And even the gays are like, I'm not down with this. Like, yes. There's been a massive split because, they've tried to lump people in this one category together. By the way, talking about Roe v. Wade, the UK has just voted on the most extreme abortion law. Like, you can basically abort the baby right the way up until just before it's born. I mean, it is, the UK is gone. It's absolutely gone. There was no reason for them to do this at all. Yeah. So, guys, thank the Lord you live in America and these things are important to you. And at least there's a fight about it. Over there's no fight.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna take the victories where we can get them. Our organization, Texas Family Project, is very, very excited about this particular outcome. Doesn't prevent me from having to go to the stupid Pride festivals the rest of the month, but we'll take the win. If you like this clip and you want to see the full episode, click here. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, come on, you know you do. Click here.